Good morning. Good morning. Okay, I won't hear that one. Hey, I hope you've had a good morning, and I want to thank you for being here this morning, and thanks to all of you watching around Granbury ISD and around the country. And it's certainly my pleasure, and we want to thank Extreme Networks, the Hall of Fame, and the NFL for allowing us to have some time with our guests today. And without any further ado, I want to give you a big Granbury welcome to my childhood heroes, Mr. Roger Staubach.
And as Roger,
it's great being here today. I'm sorry that Dak Prescott was going to come, and he couldn't make it. He's busy, and I don't know if you remember, I was graduated from the Naval Academy, and I thought my football career was over. I had 4 years to go in the Navy, and so I spent 4 years in the Navy, and all of a sudden, even though I was 27, which is really old for a quarterback, so I still felt I could play again. I got the opportunity to play for the Dallas Cowboys, which was very fortunate. My wife and I both grew up in Cincinnati, Ohio, so we came to Dallas in 1969, and I was going to play behind Don Meredith and Craig Morton, and then I'd be the third-team quarterback, and Don Meredith retired, so I moved up to the backup quarterback, and I battled back and forth, and I got a chance to start playing and starting in 1971. Old you all were in 1971, but it's a long time ago. But my life changed because I was able to stay here in Dallas. We had 3 little girls born in the Navy. We had 2 more on Texas soil. So we had 5 children. We now have 15 grandchildren, and some older than, believe it or not, they're older than you, some of them. Believe it or not, that's a lot of them are older. We actually have 2 great-grandsons, 3 and they're a lot of fun. They all live in Dallas, and because my wife and I had these 3 little girls in the Navy, I decided if some linebacker took my head off early on in my career, I needed to have another job. So I had a Bachelor of Science in Engineering, which is a BS. And that's what I was in engineering. So I really wanted to get opportunity, so I went to work for a real estate firm, the Henry S. Miller Company, and Mr. Miller became my mentor in real estate. And I was involved in the off season for had a company that grew to about 1,600 people, and 8 years ago we sold it to JLL. So I'm still active. JLL wants me to hang around and do a few things. So I wanted to tell you all that just to let you know it's a real pleasure being here, and a little of my background living in this neck. It's been great to be a Texan. Our kids all are Texans. They all speak Texanese, and and the NFL is David Baker, who runs the Hall of Fame in the NFL, and he's a real leader. And I know Mike's on the streaming today, but it's they have really tried to take. And I don't really wear this. Walk around and hang out on the street corners of Dallas and so I just put it on for the first time for quite a while to come here. They've asked us to do that, and there's same players that are former Cowboys that are moving around and getting the chance to visit with you and talk to you at schools, and I just have minutes, and I think Mike's gonna some questions, and I think you all get a chance to ask me a question or two. But the one thing I wanted to mention is that even at my age, right now, I'm still working on things that I was working on at your age. and that's getting the balance in my life. And the balance is, you know, we have this chemistry that drives us as human beings. And that chemistry, a lot of that chemistry is what's in it for me. And so we what's in it for me day, but it's is that somebody calling? So we have this what's in it for me day, but most of us have a balance that we are thinking about the importance of somebody else other than ourselves and putting ourselves in other people's shoes. And if you do that, you understand the evils of discrimination and the things that take place in life that just makes us do things that we shouldn't do if we lose our conscience or we start thinking about just what's in it for me. You know, I work on little, you know, some of it's, you know, like listening. Sometimes I don't listen the way I should. My wife, we've been married 51 years and she still complains about I don't. And so we were going to a wedding not too long ago, and one of our teammates' daughters is getting married, Michelle. And so we're going there. Marianne hangs out with Annette, Michelle's mom, and about all Michelle and all the rest of the kids and what they're doing and what they're up to. And so I'm driving along, and I'm not listening really to it. I don't know what I was thinking about. Maybe 63 Army Navy game or something. Whatever it was not, I wasn't listening. So we get to the wedding. There's Michelle walking down the aisle and knew she was getting married. And then the other kids, young Tony, which was now older groomsman, and I said, man, he's gotten a lot taller. I wonder what he's doing. And she looked at me and said, I knew it listening to a thing I was saying. And I said, well, I know a car swerved at me. I wasn't paying attention. And then she's quizzed me on the other two daughters, and zilch. I did not remember anything. That was a 2.5 day recovery period. But it was but the problem was I wasn't listening. I was thinking about myself, not paying attention. So there's things that you can do each and every day to say, how can I not only better myself, but how do I better working on making sure I get that balance in my life, and I not only take out of life, but I give back. So I wanted to just give that off to you because our conscience guides us, and we got to think about the importance of somebody other than ourselves. Okay, we'll see you.
Hopefully you guys can hear me there at Granbury. I think we are having some slight technical difficulties there at the high school with the audio and whatnot. So hopefully we can get that figured out. But if you guys can hear me, and hopefully you can, I appreciate those opening remarks from you, Mr. Staubach, and kind of getting us started off in the right direction. I do want to kind of formally welcome everybody to our latest installment of the Heart of a Hall of Famer program. If you haven't guessed it by now, you probably should start listening. But it is featuring today's Gold Jacket Pro Hall of Famer, Roger Staubach. I do want to start off with just our mission statement here at the Hall of Fame, which is to honor the heroes of the game, preserve its history, promote its values, and to celebrate excellence everywhere. And those values that we promote are those of commitment, integrity, courage, respect, and excellence. And I know I'm excited, and hopefully you guys are too, to hear how those values have impacted Mr. Staubach's career on the field, but more importantly, off the field and into what he's doing with his life now. So Before we get into our Q&A, I do want to thank some people. First and foremost, I do need to thank our friends at Extreme Networks for everything they do for us here at the Hall of Fame and for schools around the country. I want to thank our teachers, especially Amy there at Granbury for all the work she's put in this program, but for all of our teachers for opening up your classrooms and embracing the ideal that this message is important to our youth. And lastly, I got to thank our kids. I mean, you guys get to ask the questions today. So really, without you, there is no program. So I'm excited to hear what questions you're going to come up with and where you're going to lead our discussion. I do want to end with just a quote that Mr. Staubach used in his enshrinement speech here at the Hall of Fame in '85, and I'm going to read it so I don't misquote him. But it said, "Life is so short, and there are only so many chances to be in pressure situations. There are only a certain number of opportunities to take your talent and abilities and get things accomplished." So with that being said, I am going to unmute everybody's mics, and if we could give a warm round of applause to one of the great players and one of the great men of the game, Pro Football Hall of Famer Gold Jacket, Mr. Roger Staubach. All right. And I always have to formally mute everybody because I think that clap could go on for a while. It always turns into a slow clap for whatever reason as well. So with that being said, let's get our Q&A going. And we'll start, Mr. Staubach, with those students right there in front of you at Granbury High School. If we have a student that wants to ask our first question.
Yes. Well, my first injury that was a major injury in the NFL was it was after we won the Super Bowl in '71. We had an exhibition game the next year, and then was last exhibition game of the year going into the real season. And I kind of played 100% no matter what I did, and so I made a big mistake. I tried to run over Marlon McKeever on the goal line, and I didn't have the biggest shoulder pads as I had after that because I ran quite a bit, and so I tried to run over Marlon, and he separated my right shoulder, and so I was out for most of the season. And I learned a lot about being smarter as a runner and wearing bigger shoulder pads, but I also I knew that life it's short, and you appreciate the good times you had, and then you have to deal with the adversity. Adversity reveals genius, really, and prosperity conceals it. You really find out the best in people when times are tough. And I found out a lot about myself during that period of time, and I was thankful that they repaired my right shoulder. I dislocated my left shoulder when I was at the Naval Academy, and the left shoulder pops out, and when they repaired it, this is as far as it'll go back right here. And I'm very thankful because a quarterback doesn't need his left shoulder unless he's left-handed. So I would have my career would have been ruined with this one. But with the right one, they repaired it, and I worked real hard getting ready and got back and actually played at the end of the year. So that injury taught me a lot, and to appreciate everything that I had accomplished before that, because I thought it could have been possibly over. So,
all right, very good. We're going to go out then to Acton Elementary for our next question and see if we have a student there ready to ask something of Mr. Staubach. I see one standing up there.
What drove you to play football? And when you were a kid, did you think you would be in the NFL?
Well, of course, when I was a kid, I thought I was going to be playing for the Cincinnati Reds in baseball. I started out as a seventh, and when I was 7 years old, playing baseball, and that was my sport. I loved baseball. In the seventh grade, I got a chance to play football. I was a halfback on our grade school football team, and I started to like football, but I wasn't sure. I went to high school, and I played defensive back, and my life was really changed. Football changed my life dramatically because our coach for our high school football team came up to me in my senior year in high school and said, I want you to go out for quarterback next year. And I said, hey, coach, I don't want to be a quarterback. And he said, well, I want you to be a quarterback because it seems like the other guys listen to you, because I played baseball and basketball in high school. And so I didn't want to be the quarterback, but he said, and I said, coach, Tom Schneeman, we had a quarterback that became the senior. He's a big guy, could throw. He said, well, you run a little better than Tom. We're going to probably run a little bit more, but just try to work at it. And so I reluctantly started to work at quarterback in the spring, and the summer finally went to the two-a-days before the season started. And, was working real good. And I was a little better runner. Tom was big. He had a good arm. And so Coach McCarthy announces I'm going to be the starting quarterback against Dayton Chaminade in the opening game of the year. And I was, excited. And now I started to like being a quarterback. And I really liked it after the game, because when we went to the party after the game, the girls liked me more because I was a quarterback. But what happened in the game, we were losing. At the end of the game, I threw a touchdown pass to Freddie DeFinney. I can still see him going down the left sideline to win the game. And if that didn't happen, Tom Schneeman would be talking to you right now, because he would have got his job back at quarterback. But my life became different. I mean, being a quarterback was how I went to the Naval Academy. They kind of recruited me for sports. So it just happened when I was moved to quarterback, and I started to like football more. I played baseball all through college, but I still love baseball. I love baseball today. Obviously, when you get older, don't play much baseball. But I love football and baseball, and then decided when I graduated, as I mentioned earlier, that I wasn't sure I'd ever play sports again, and I got a chance to play football again.
Very good. And sir, I don't know what it is. We did a program with Eric Dickerson on Tuesday, and he mentioned girls as well when it came to picking football. So I guess there's worse reasons out there, but I found that a little bit funny. So
yeah,
very good. Let's go out. We have let's go out to Bronner Intermediate and see if we have a student there with our next question.
What is your most defining moment?
My most defining moment?
Correct.
Well, first of all, do the girls here like quarterbacks more than other? Is there something to that? I mean, well, a defining moment. When I look back, I don't want to overdo this, but the faith I have, we are temple creatures. We have a lifespan. Hopefully, it's a good lifespan, and you're young, and I just want to hope you have the periods of time that I've had as you age, and so the defining moment is when I really tried to make sure that I didn't have all the answers in my faith. I grew up in the Catholic Church. I practiced my Christianity through the Catholic Church, and I sure don't want to get into religious issues. But the defining moment is when I really knew that that I didn't have all the answers, but I had a faith that we're put on this earth. It's not easy to put us together as far as how we as human beings, and it's disappointing when you have problems that other human beings, your friends have, or anything else. But your faith really kind of answers the questions, because you just have to believe that Almighty God has a plan for us. And I think the defining moment was when I really had that good feeling that there was more to this life than just our existence. And I say that because there's just more to life, and there is my faith has carried me and has helped me make a lot of decisions that I might not have made in the right direction if I didn't have a strong faith.
Let's go out to Mambrino School for our third question of the program, if we have a student there ready.
Alex?
It's actually Rhino.
All right. Yeah, I see him coming up to the camera here.
Some tough questions coming up here. Yeah.
The name of the school.
It's
Nice and loud.
it's actually our name of our school is actually Rhino.
My fault, man, Brian. Okay. My apologies. I'll get it right next time. I apologize.
Oh. I did? Oh. I thought I had it right here.
How do you feel football helped teach you more about the Hall of Fame values?
So the question there, sir, is how did football help you learn about the Hall of Fame values? And once again, for you, those are commitment, integrity, courage, respect, and excellence.
Those values can be moved around a little bit because they emphasize, I think it emphasizes hard work. When in football, it takes a lot of unspectacular preparation to get spectacular results. You have to work and you have to kind of pay for who you want to be. You just have to work at it, and there's no shortcuts. When I started in football, when I knew that maybe I was going to be a quarterback, I worked. I mean, I went out and in that spring and worked all the time, and so hard work. You learn. Sports can teach you, because it's true in business. It's true in everything you do. You just have to work at having the success you're going to have. There's no traffic jams on the extra mile. If you ever remember any quote that I have, giving that extra. If you give that extra, and there's people more talented than all of us, that there's somebody that's more talented, but if you give that extra, you're going to fly by them. And so I think sports taught me that, and it's been very important to me in business. And the other part of, when you look at commitment and you look at integrity and courage, that if you have that balance in your life and you truly care about someone other than yourself, you can trust that person. And if you can trust someone, that's a team player. Team players are people that you can trust. And so you learn a lot about teamwork. Life is teamwork. Life is being able to make sure that you appreciate your strengths, but you also appreciate the strengths of somebody else. And so sports teach you a lot about teamwork. You don't have to be in professional sports or even college, but just so sports also have helped me overcome adversity. We all have had tough situations, and we've been through it. And my wife right now is going through a very difficult time with her sister's real sick, and she lost a brother not too long ago. And so adversity, as I mentioned earlier, reveals genius, and prosperity conceals it. You really find out the best in people, though, when times are tough. And there's going to be tough times. And in sports, we used to be behind a lot in the fourth quarter, but we really never gave up. We made some good comebacks, and sometimes we wouldn't, but we never quit. So I think what the Hall of Fame represents, it represents those, that excellence too, that has to take place. And so I've learned a lot about sports that's been transferable to just getting up every day and living life. And those are some, especially the teamwork, the hard work, the excellence, the integrity, the courage that it takes to live your life. So.
Very good. We have a saying here, Mr. Staubach, maybe you've heard David Baker say it, our president and CEO, that our Hall of Famers didn't fall out of bed great. There's, as you mentioned, a lot of unspectacular preparation that goes in behind the scenes that people don't see, and more often than not, people don't appreciate when all they see is the spectacular results. So just to give everyone an idea of what the Hall of Fame represents and the elite class that Mr. Staubach is a part of, there have been over 100 million people to play the game of football. There's been 2.2 million that have played at the collegiate level. There's only been 27,000 that have been paid to play, coach, or officiate the game of pro football. And as of this fall, there's only going to be 310 members of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. So it really is, the 0.001% of this great game. So just to give you guys a little bit of framework and maybe a little more appreciation for what Mr. Staubach accomplished on the field, and as we are learning more today, what he's done off of the field throughout his life. So,
yeah, Mike, can I throw in? I'm looking in this room. There's a lot of beautiful girls here, and a lot of you aren't going to be playing football someday, but you will be playing sports. We have 4 daughters and a son. We have 12 of our 15 grandkids are women, and that's really good too, because grandkids really care more about their grandparents, the girls do, than the boys. So, but I'm going to soccer games, lacrosse games, volleyball games, basketball games with my grandkids too. So the sports good things that take place in football it goes across all sports. And with all the great gals in this room, I just want you to know that is a father of a bunch of gals and a bunch of granddaughters. Anyway, I wanted to throw that in because I don't think there's going to be many pro football gals here in this room. So we are here for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. So I just want to balance that out a little bit. So.
I appreciate that. And we do kind of have the
Right,
sense
is that okay, Coach?
we do become a little guilty of being a little biased here, maybe on the football side of things. So I appreciate you balancing that out. So with that being said, let's go out to our next school. We're going to go out to Oak Woods and see if we have a student there with our next question.
As a child, what events in your life do you believe helped you shape you into the man you are today?
Well, I think I was I was an only child. I kept asking my parents, being a Catholic kid in our neighborhood, I was the only child. Down the street where the Bean family was 9 Bean kids. And the Brannons across the street had 3, the Dolls, they had 4. And so there was, my mom and dad, they said, well, we'd like to have more children, but we got stuck with you. And so to answer the question is my parents, I was lucky. I had, my mom and dad both went back. My mother went back to work when I was 3 years old. I lived in a room with my grandmother till I was about 12. She died in the bed next to me. And she spoiled the heck out of me. So my mother, who she was a secretary at General Motors, and my dad worked, and we had a great life. We had we just had a good life. We didn't have a big house. We didn't have the stuff that you might be lucky to have that maybe we have more today. But we were I was just as happy. We had in the examples that they were for me. I was fortunate. My mother she understood the evils of discrimination, and she preached a message on that to me. My dad worked hard. He didn't make a lot of money, but he worked hard, and we were able to do the things we were able to do. And so having that example and looking up to 2 people that are part of your life every day was really defining for me, and helped me stay on the path of I never wanted to disappoint them. I didn't want to make sure I told the truth. I tried to be a good person because I love them so much, and it kind of caught on, and I wanted to be a good person beyond for my children also, and my wife. My wife and I have been married 51 years. We actually met in the 4th grade. Didn't like girls till the 8th grade, though. I want you to know that. But so we dated off and on in high school, and we got married when I graduated from the Naval Academy. She went to a nursing school, and so we've been together a long time, and in a very positive way. And hopefully, we're trying to be examples to our wonderful children we have, and grandkids too. So,
very good. We're going to go out to Acton Middle School for our next question, if we have a student there that's ready to step up to the camera. We have a framed picture too. I'm not sure if you can see them there, Mr. Staubach. But we have a framed picture coming into the camera shot.
How did you overcome your challenges mentally and physically when you were in the Navy and the NFL?
Well, when mentally, I don't know. I didn't have any mental disorders. Life is always making decisions, and the Navy actually was very positive. It taught me a lot of things. That I spent a year in Vietnam. I was a logistic guy supporting the Marine Corps, and I sure don't want to get into the crazy world that we have today, because there's some people out there that just aren't good people, and so we've been at war at times. Maybe we definitely disagreed with that war, and I learned a lot coming back from Vietnam, because it wasn't the troops that went over there. It was the people that sent them over there. You might have got mad at if you didn't agree with everything, but the ones that went over there, they really weren't as appreciated as today. Appreciating our military today, it's so important to them. It's not that they want anything. It's that they really want to feel good because you feel good about them. And so that's extremely positive today. And I've got Allies in Service. We're helping veterans get jobs here in Dallas Fort Worth. And so I learned a lot about dealing with life at the Naval Academy. I did get a good education, even though I had a great education, even though I wasn't really engineering oriented. But it was, and I had my closest friends today are ones that I met in the service and also at the Naval Academy. So I was very fortunate to have that background in my life. And I'm sure going to any other school or anything else, a lot of those good things would have happened also. But I went to the Naval Academy and had a chance to participate in the military for 4 years, and learned a lot about the importance of and the commitment and the courage and the things that our military does. Our men and women are out there right today as we sit here and still in some tough areas of this world and dealing with some very tough issues.
Mr. Staubach, we talk about, part of that question was kind of the mental mindset and whatnot. And you're notorious for embracing the competition and maybe some pressure situations. Can you take us inside your mindset inside those pressure-packed situations where, we'll never be down, 10 points in the fourth quarter, but maybe we'll be stepping into a meeting we're nervous for. Maybe we'll be taking a test we're nervous for, giving a presentation we're nervous for. Can you give us any insight into your mindset in those pressure-packed situations?
Well, I think, a pressure-packed situations occur in a lot of everything you do. And what you have to do is make sure that you're working and you're prepared in the work that you do. And in football, when we were behind in the fourth quarter, I really felt that first of all, I had to transfer my confidence, because it's a team sport. If you're an individual, and you just have to have confidence in yourself, but if you're a part of a team and it's a situation that's tough and a pressure situation, you have got to be able to transfer your confidence to your teammates, because you're going to need their help to get through the difficult situations. And I just felt that, hey, I prepared myself. If I didn't work out and go out, even though I was working in the off season, I was at the practice field every day, either early in the morning or after work, in those 4 to 5 months that I worked in the off season. And so I had the confidence that I've worked hard, and the only thing I can do is make it happen based on my effort. If I didn't have if I hadn't worked and I was trying to get by and just doing things that made it easier, I don't think I would have had that confidence. I don't think I could have overcome the pressure and won some of the games that we won in the fourth quarter if I didn't have the commitment from my teammates, and the fact that I believed in myself, because I felt that I could just do the best that I could do under that moment because I prepared for it. And it's really, preparation in life, because you are going to, and you're going to have some disappointments, and yet if you work hard and you prepare, good things are going to happen. And it might take a little time, but good things will eventually happen when you work hard and you prepare for things.
All right, we're going to go out to Granbury Middle School for our.
Can we get some easier questions than these?
They're not full name punches. I mean, they're much better to be in my seat right now. I think it is in yours, so I'll take it. But let's go out to Granbury Middle School for our next question.
He's saying Granbury.
Hi, I'm Reese Holmgreen from Granbury Middle School Student Council, and my question is, in a leadership role, what character traits are most important to you?
Well, going back to real quickly, leadership. There's so much. Leadership can be defined in a lot of ways. I mean, we're talking about positive leadership, because leaders are people that follow somebody else. That person's a leader, and there's some really bad leaders. So you don't want to, first of all, follow a bad leader. But the good leaders, I think the most important quality you have, you can trust them. They're team players. They work hard, and they really deal with adversity. Some of the same things we talked about in some of with this jacket for the Hall of Fame, the commitment, the excellence, the courage. Leaders have those qualities, but they're also looking to get stronger. They're not perfect by any means, but they do have the qualities. They definitely work hard. You can trust them. They're team players. They're courageous. They believe, excellence fits in there. So there's a lot of qualities, especially in good leaders, and those are some that I believe in very much.
All right, we're going to go out to Crockett Elementary, who's joining us from the state of Arizona today. So we'll see if we have a student there with a question.
Arizona?
Good afternoon, Mr. Staubach, and welcome to Crockett Elementary. I am going to read my question now. When you played at the Naval Academy and John F. Kennedy did the coin toss, did you ever get a chance to have a conversation with him, and what was that experience like?
Well, that's person obviously must have read something about this. But in 1961, I was in the stands at the Naval Academy. I was a plebe at the Naval Academy. Back then, you could only play 3 years of varsity football. So we had a plebe football team, which is a freshman football team. And so I was a freshman, went to the Army-Navy game, and there was the president there, President John F. Kennedy. He was there. He was at the coin toss, and it was exciting. 100,000 people at the Army-Navy game. And it was really exciting. So I'm thinking, gee, this is too much for me. Next year, I don't know where I'll be. So there I was, 1962. I was right there on the field, the starting quarterback for the Naval Academy. There's President Kennedy. He came into our locker room, and we all saluted him. He did say he was commander-in-chief, and he had to pull for Army, but down deep in his heart, he was really pulling for Navy. And so that really felt good. And this is my ear here. And so in that 62 game, we beat Army, and it was one of the biggest thrills of my life when we won that first Army-Navy game. This looks a little weird, doesn't it? I think this will be better there. I'm sorry, Coach. And by the way, I threw for 2 and ran for 2 in that game. So we won 35-14. So and in the locker room afterwards, it was fantastic. I mean, he was there, he shook our hands, and he was, President of the United States. It was a big deal. But in '63, we were getting ready for the Army Navy game, and he was shot in the tragic situation and assassination in Dallas, and we were going to play the Army Navy game. It was on a Friday afternoon. The Army Navy game was a week from that Saturday, so we played that game instead of a week from Saturday. It was moved another week. At first, we thought it was going to be canceled, and then it was the Kennedy family wanted the game to be played on behalf of the Kennedy family and John F. Kennedy, and because he was really into the Army Navy game, and so that was that was a thrill to play for him, and we won that game 21-15. By the way, Army ended up on our 1 yard line, and the kind of time ran out, right, Coach? And so the president really became he spoke at the Naval Academy, and so we got to know him real well. He was in the Navy. He was a PT 109. He was a naval officer. So to answer the question, we were thrilled to be part of his history, and the Army Navy game was a big part of it.
Obviously, a big part of it. If you still remember the scores this many years later, that had to mean a little something to you.
No, I don't remember. I just made those scores up. I didn't. No, I remember them.
That's pretty good, though. All right, let's go out to those students there in front of you, Mr. Staubach, and see if we have some more questions from them.
Oh, Jiminy.
But we can start here.
Can I, maybe if I don't like the question, I'll go on the next one then. There's a big guy right here in front, so. As a student,
sir, could you repeat the question for our remote audiences?
as a student athlete in high school, I would say, I feel very, very good about being lucky to have my parents as role models. But it was I think when I was a big baseball fan. So Ted Kluszewski played first base for the Cincinnati Reds, and his house was about 5 miles from our house, and I was allowed to ride my bike that far. I used to circle around his house and so in sports it was that way, and then Coach McCarthy changed my life when he decided I should be a quarterback. I really wouldn't, I'd be somewhere and I'd be doing something good, hopefully, but if I wasn't a quarterback, I would not have moved through the NFL and had the privilege to be here especially I never dreamed that I'd go into the the Hall of Fame. I didn't really, as I mentioned earlier, I didn't really feel I'd ever play professional football again. 4 years, 4 years when you're young seems like an eternity, as you all know that, before it goes by like that. And all of a sudden so Coach McCarthy switched me to quarterback, and my coach in college I got fortunate that Coach Wayne Harding, he just passed away 2 weeks ago. He was 91 years old, and he really was a very strategic, smart coach, and taught me a lot and kept me interested in football. And so a lot of it are sports, but I had some teachers too. Father Lou Gunselman just was a big part of my life. So I was fortunate to have a lot of good role models in my life. And we all need to. We all look up to people, and even if someone disappoints you, you got to just have the strength to overcome that also.
Very good. So we're coming to the end of our time today. So I want to leave a moment or two for any closing remarks you may have, whether it be something that you want to reiterate that we already talked about, or if there was something that we didn't get to that you were hoping to share with our group today. I'll let you close our session out here in the last moments.
Well, it really is fun for me to be here. I told Coach and some of the others before, when the Hall of Fame asked me to come and speak, and we've done this before at schools, and and I've had it's really it's a little different at each school and everything. But you know, I've been in Dallas since 1969, and so my geography isn't the greatest. And I thought I was going to go talk at Grand Prairie, and which is kind of close to where I live in Dallas. And then I find out it's a little further away here. And instead of maybe a 15-minute ride, I was on the road for about 2 hours to get it. And I'm going to say to you, this is one of the most fun 2 hours. I mean, the 2 hours was very, very much worth it to be here, to be part of your life, to talk to you, to hopefully, for those that are asleep right now, I want you to know that there's a video about today. So but it's just fun being with you. And I can't emphasize enough what I said earlier, that at my age right now, which I don't always like to mention it, but it's you know, I'm 75, and the same similarities that we have is that battle each and every day to balance your life, to make sure that you not only take out a life, but you give back. And I wish you the very best on and off the field. That means I wish you the best in school and at home with your families. And it's a real fun privilege for me to be here today. Thank you very much.
Very cool. And Mr. Staubach, if you can still hear me, I just want to say that we do appreciate your time today, and it's been a incredibly fun hour for us as well. So we appreciate you making that little longer drive down to Granbury for us. And I just want to say thank you from David Baker on down to Joe Horgan, George Veras, the rest of our executive team. That we appreciate your time, and wish you a safe drive back to Dallas today. So. I know you're going to spend some time there with those students there in front of you, but I just want to say thank you, and we'll see you here in Canton, Ohio pretty soon.
I'll get out.
You have a second that our kids can come down and take a picture?